All right, first off, I'm going to assign this as homework. The best possible thing for you right now is to go ahead and enter these in yourselves, figure out how to do this next section using custom fields, even if it takes you 4 hours to do. Just because you'll become familiar with it, and it's going to add something really, really powerful to your skill set.
And it shouldn't take you 4 hours to do, because like we said before, once you get just 1 or 2 of them done, you really start to roll, and really the process becomes really simple.
Right. You might find little errors with PHP and stuff like that cause you a little bit of trouble, but especially if you're working in the back end, back here in the file manager, you're not going to be kicked out of the system. You're going to be able to work quickly and get this done. So if you've done that, if you haven't done that, stop the video and do it. If you've already done that and are looking for help, or you just want to go ahead and watch the rest of this section, I'm going to kind of buzz through this and show you how quickly we can get the rest of these done, and show you my process for doing this. So I'm going to get started. First off, we're starting off a new row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this and call it homepage row 1 for this whole field group. Haven't showed you how to do this yet, but this is my secret. So there's homepage row 1. We're going to add another group called homepage row 2. And right away, we'll start with this header. Now, when you have separate field groups, you can. I'm not sure if you can call them different or the same name. I don't think you can still overlap the names, can you?
Probably not.
You can't say headline and it's called the other one headline. You still have to differentiate it. So let's say, or actually, let's just say row 2 headline. That's going to be a text. And is there any break in there? No, there's not. That's it. No formatting. I'm going to duplicate that. Call it subheadline. Maybe give some space there. It's a text. No formatting. We got our headline and subheadline. So
blurb image.
Yeah, so there's actually a cool way to do this that I'll show you real quick. I would go ahead and use the feature called tabs on this and add 3 separate tabs. This is something you'll become familiar with, but I'll show you this cool little one. Let's add a tab here, and we'll call it icon 1 or blurb 1. Blurb 1's a better title. And let's go ahead and add 3 tabs real quick. I'll go ahead and use this to show you. And if you didn't notice, I'm just duplicating those so I don't have to go in and create a new one every time. So I just created 3 tabs. I'm going to, again, we need to set this page template to homepage template. And now I want to set the order number to 1, which is the next after 0, obviously. And I'm going to make sure to set up the same options as I have in the other one, which I'll show the permalink, I'll show the featured image and revisions. And then also this was standard with a meta box. I'm going to publish that and look at this page and show you what a second field group will look like. So there's homepage row 1, which is this first field group, which you can actually close out here or make smaller, and then homepage row 2. So first of all, there's a headline and subheadline, which are pretty straightforward. And then each of these has a blurb, and you can put content in each one of those. So this works great for setting up a little chunk where it's got 3 different sections.
And it's going to really help your user know what's going on there. It gives them kind of like a visual of what it is that they're actually doing instead of having to just guess which ones were 1, 2, and 3.
Yep. So first one's going to be icon 1. We're going to grab an image for that. I'm not going to put these all as required. It doesn't. They're going to be listed or not. It's not a big deal. The return value on the images is something it's important to begin to understand. But the simplest one is an image URL, and that's mainly what we're going to use when we just want to return the URL of the image and output it to our image source X. Preview size, that determines on the page. It's not the page it's displaying, but the back end of the page, how big the image is going to take up, how much area it's going to take up on the page. So if we say full and then upload an image, it might take up a whole this whole area, this page, when we upload it. So I always just set it to thumbnail, so it's just just doesn't take up a ton of the screen. That's just about real estate, really. So let's close that field. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that twice because we know there are 3 of them. We're going to call it icon 2. and icon 3. And then we're going to put one under each tab. So blurb 1, icon 1. Blurb 2, icon 2. Blurb 3, icon 3. Let's update and look at it real quick. So now blurb 1 has icon 1, has an image upload button. Blurb 2 has icon 2, and blurb 3 has icon 3.
Nice.
Pretty close. So now we're going to add a icon headline and an icon...
Or blurb headline and...
Yeah, blurb headline and blurb content. So let's add those real quick. Blurb 1 headline. And that is just text. No converting it, no formatting here. And let's duplicate that twice. We'll call this one blurb 2 headline. And if I just X that out, back up, and then tab over to it, it fills it in for me, which is what I like to do. Blurb 3 headline. Okay, and again, we'll put those underneath the images. So icon 1, then blurb 1 headline, blurb 2 headline. Or no, sorry, icon 2, blurb 2 headline. And that's already in the right place. And then we'll add a sub headline. So for this, I'm just going to duplicate this and say blurb 1. I know that's supposed to be one word. I am just really ruining this. Blurb 2 sub headline. Duplicate again. Move blurb 3 down at the very bottom, and blurb 2 next underneath the headline. To me, that looks like we have all the content ready to go now. We have this part, the front end of it. Questions?
Will that text area that we're using for the blurb sub-headlines be big enough for the content area we have?
Ah, that's a good point. And you caught it before I would. Yeah, you can see right here the headline, that makes perfect sense. But for the sub-headline, there's a lot more content there. And they actually might even want to... it doesn't need to be formatted in any way.
It actually might be fine.
It might be okay, but what will happen is it'll run off the page if they put enough content in there. So we can just change the sub-headline area. Is it sub-headline? I should have called it a content area. Doesn't really matter at this point, but it's more of a content area than sub-headline. But we can just change this to text area, though. And then the same option of exists here. You can convert HTML into tags, convert new lines into BR tags, or no formatting. I'm just going to click no formatting. And I'm going to make sure to update all three of those to have a text area with no formatting. Another thing I think with a text area, you can choose how many rows it has, just how much space it does. The default is 8, and I'm going to leave it at the default. So let's take a look on the page here again. That kind of matches the front end a little better, I think. So let's go ahead and add the blurb 1 image. So let's see what that was real quick and just add it. That's the heart. Heart icon. There we go. We'll select that. The blurb 1 headline. These are all they're beautiful designs. And that's the sub headline. So I'll add this here. I'll paste that in. Now, obviously, let's see. Some of my homepage content is gone here. That's probably because I changed the name of it, that it wiped out my content in there. That's okay. We can go ahead and add that. Actually, let's just add that content again. Creative WordPress theme.
Is that what's gone? Or, oh.
Yeah, that's. Oh,
no, that's fine. It's the row 2 stuff that you haven't entered yet.
Oh, I see. Thank you for pointing that out. So this needs to be professional services and that guy. Thank you. I thought that it was wiped out. So I just entered the blurb 1 content in there. Obviously this stuff isn't linked on the back end, so let's quickly go ahead and do that. Keep your field group open and available to you. There's a lot more content names in here than there were on the other one, so you need to pay attention to these. So this is the services row, and there's the headline. And again, we're going to use the field. And this is called row 2 headline, right?
Yep. And row 2 sub headline.
Yep. Did I separate them out like that? Yep. And then let's go ahead and add our icon here too. So here we've got our old PHP snippet that was giving it the link, but we're going to go ahead and put the field in here. Isn't that just icon 1, I think? You need to check the name here, icon 1, that's the image. The next part is blurb 1 headline. And then this is blurb 1 sub-headline, even though that's not really an appropriate naming scheme for it. Oh no, I wrote sin. Okay, blurb 1 sub-headline. Let's save these changes out. Refresh the page that should output on. See if we're getting anything similar. Almost looks too good to be true. Did I do everything right here? Seems like when you do that many changes, you'll always come across some type of error. I'm going to add something in here just to make sure we're dynamically displaying the right content. I'm just going to add some content to the end there. Yep, there it is. This is working dynamically, guys.
So now when you do blurbs like this, since you just did 3 of the exact same section,
Yep.
I think you showed me something like this before. Do we need to retype in all this code that we just did?
Yeah, in this case, it's the best idea too. There's an add-on to Advanced Custom Fields called the repeater field, and if you have an indefinite number of something you're going to add, and in this case we have a definite number. We have 3 blurbs, and they're going to be positioned very specifically. But maybe if you have a gallery where each new image has a headline associated with it, and they'll just stack up on top of each other, and it'll be 1, 2, 3, then the next row, 2, 3. You could use what's called the repeater field. This is a paid add-on for Advanced Custom Fields, but in a lot of more advanced, theme development things, it can be really, really valuable to use that.
I think you missed my point. I'm talking about right here. Now we can just copy and paste this blurb 3 different times and just change them to 2 and 3.
Let's see. Oh, that's exactly true. No question about that.
Right.
So my other point was that's kind of the add-on thing that you can do though, and it's important to know that exists. And with this is a similar instance to where you would use it, but maybe if somebody could just click add new and whatever. So that's just something to keep in mind if you run into a more advanced project later on down the line. But you're exactly right about this part. So let's add this, copy this code, and paste it twice. Give it some space here. And we'll just change everything here to 2. Make our lives a little easier. And then 3, 3, 3. Now, since the content's not here, it's going to display nothing here. But that gives us a pretty good idea of how we would get this all done.
Right, but we can go into our original theme and we can look at that content and see what we need to pull. So
exactly. So that's going to do it for this section of the Advanced Custom Fields. In the next section, we're going to go ahead and go to our portfolio page, get the portfolio page listed out correctly, and then get the individual portfolio items listed out correctly. So we're going to be using some more Advanced Custom Fields and get a little bit deeper into it. Talk to you soon.